Hi. Welcome. Where are you? Oh, there. What are you doing behind the mirror? Oh, the mirror. I'll explain to you in a minute why we're actually filming through a mirror. You wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it. I'm actually in a place called Newtown. Now, look at this amazing video that we got from this place called Newtown. Newtown is a suburb of Sydney, near the CBD of Sydney. Now, look at these amazing buildings. Have a look at that. Now, aren't they adorable? They're magnificent. For me, this is architecture. Look at it, it's just beautiful. Now, if you compare that kind of building to this modern one that they make today, I don't know, but I prefer this odd look. It's got a lot more character. Yes. Anyway, now why we're in Newtown? We're in Newtown not because we love the food, not because we love the drinks around Newtown, because Newtown is such an amazing place. It's a very cosmopolitan place. It's a place that I love to come here all the time because it's always full of life, full of people. We're just gonna have to come to that later on. But now, let's have a look why I'm here and why I got this brick. Well, I'm actually in a house in Newtown. Now, the houses in Newtown, they are so tiny, they're very small because they used to be workers' cottages. Now, this house that I'm here today, it's actually getting renovated. People, they're trying to extend it by probably about half a meter this way and maybe another meter this way because they can't do much. I mean, this is why I'm talking you through a mirror, because there's no space. Where are we going to put the camera? So basically, what they do, they put actually mirrors in the backyard so to make it look bigger. Incredible. I love it. The reason we're here at this house is because it's been renovated. And a lot of this restoration, we're actually going to follow it. And we're going to show you how we can reuse and we can recycle a lot of the materials. It's no point of throwing all these beautiful materials away to a bin or to a tip when we can reuse and recycle it. And this is one typical example. Now look at these bricks. When these guys here from Old Sydney Constructions that they're doing renovation, they were demolishing some of these walls in here, they found these bricks. Now, what's so special about a brick? Well, this brick, it's about 150 years old. It was made by convicts 150 years ago. Can you believe that? Now, one thing I have to show you is this thing here, the lime and mortar. Look at that, because it just cleans so easily. Look at that. Look, the brick, it's ready to use again. But now, I'll show you one that I prepared earlier. I put it in a bit of water so you can see the colors. Check this out. Look at that. Isn't that fascinating? Now you can use it for a paver, look at that. Or you can use it for a wall, look at this finish. That's what you call a shabby-chic finish, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Or you can use this side here. Now, how can you just compare this with any of the new bricks? Nah, you can't. Anyway, since we're into bricks and into recycling, I think we should do a story about bricks. But before we go into the story, let's have a look at this brick delivery. And I think he's got about 20 bricks on his head. And when they took the bricks out of the boat, they put them in this cart with his donkey. How do they unload them? Have a look at this. And if you need a bricklayer to build your brickwork, why don't you use this lady here? Look at her. Amazing. I mean, I'm gonna have to thank these guys that they send us those videos. Thank you very much for letting us using them. But let's go to our story about bricks. And Anna Sevo will bring us a story from Riverstone. Let's have a look.
Last week at Metropolitan Demolitions and Recycling, I mentioned sandstock bricks that were handmade by convicts some 150 years ago. Well, today I'm here at the Steel-backed Brick Company to find out about the latest leg of these amazing bricks journey. Bricks are actually the oldest known building material in history, dating all the way back to 7000 BC, with sun-dried mud bricks used by the ancient Egyptians. The ancient Greeks also used them, realising that brick walls were more durable than stone and less susceptible to the elements than marble. The Romans innovated by burning the bricks in a kiln, making them more resistant to weather conditions and help them absorb the heat of the day and then release it at night. During the 12th century, bricks were introduced to France and then Germany from Italy, and from there sparked the birth of the brick Gothic period. But in the young colony of Australia a few hundred years ago, bricks were made by convicts in timber-framed boxes, one by one, moulded by hand. Later, the method of wire cutting was introduced that could produce up to 15,000 bricks per day. The Industrial Revolution brought specialised machinery that sped up and totally changed the industry. These handmade sandstock bricks are historical treasures that are being rescued by places such as Metropolitan Demolitions and Recycling to be reused in feature walls or paving. Today I'm here with Irene, Operations Manager of the Steel-Backed Brick Company, who are helping to breathe new life into these sandstock bricks. Hi Irene.
Hello Anna, how are you today?
Good, thank you. Tell us a little bit about the Steel-Backed Brick Company.
Essentially Anna, what we do is we cut two faces off an existing brick. Those bricks that we cut are actually installed onto a wall with a rail system that is then mortared into position.
So where do you source your bricks from?
We source our bricks from suppliers like Metropolitan Demolition and Recycling, as well as different yards across Australia as well.
Can you take us step by step through the process of how you get from that brick to this beautiful wall?
Essentially Anna, what happens is we take our recycled brick, a slice is cut from one side and a slice is cut from the other side. These slices that are cut are approximately 28 millimetres thick. We can secure our product to any type of wall substrate, Besser block walls, existing brick walls, a standard stud frame, anything. The bricks are then put into position, and then what the boys do is make a mortar mix, very similar to what a bricklayer would use, and then what we refer to as pump the mortar into the brick coursing lines of the system. The mortar goes into the lines of the system, balloons into the back, and that's how everything is ultimately held in place. The wall is then troweled off to create your first finish, which is what we refer to as a flush joint. And then from that point onwards, you can rake out the joints, you can brush out the joints to define each of the interval bricks on the wall. We don't have to be limited to standard stretcher bond patterns where we're using full bricks. We can also do Flemish bonds for clients, we can do English, Dutch, you name it. We can do all different types of lay techniques. Exactly what a normal bricklayer can do, once again, we can do without the size nor the weight issues on site.
So I've noticed that these bricks here though have actually got corners. How do you manage to get that?
By using a corner piece in the actual building of the design of the wall, it actually looks real, which means that the brick wraps correctly and it doesn't look fake. What you may see on certain jobs is two tiles that have been butted together, which ultimately expose the corner, and it just doesn't look right and it doesn't look authentic.
Why wouldn't we though just use the full brick in making these walls and go through this whole process?
Ultimately, Anna, the issue is size, space, flexibility and naturally time on site are the important factors. Our product is only 35 millimetres thick once it's installed onto whatever substrate. We can install onto gyprock walls, Besser block walls, frame walls, it really doesn't matter. And also it comes down to weight, which is very important. A full brick wall is approximately 150 kilos per square metre. Our product is only 50 to 60 kilos per square metre, which makes a very big difference on the load weights of the buildings. Thirdly, what it also does is reduces the time on site, which is very important. With our particular system, you are able to brick from the ground to the ceiling up in one day. With a traditional bricklayer, he is only able to work a third of the way, then the wall must cure prior to installing the second section and the third section for the sake of the argument.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the actual bricks that you use?
We do like to use the traditional sandstocks, as we can see. What the interesting part too is the internals of these bricks are absolutely amazing. The different clay colours in each of the states of Australia also means different types of bricks as well. As you can see, these particular bricks we bring in from Victoria, and the colour of the clay in Victoria is very, very deep red, as opposed to what would be the equivalent in New South Wales, a Sydney recycled common brick, which it's very brown, very grey, sometimes a little bit of orange thrown through. These bricks create a completely different wall than the recycled Victorian bricks, and we like to utilise all stocks for our clients. Not only do we cut recycled stocks, we will also cut all new brick stocks as well, from the major manufacturers like PGH, Austral, all of the major manufacturers. There really isn't any brick that we can't cut.
That looks like a heart shape. Is there a story behind that?
It is actually. These heart-shaped bricks were originally the frog mark that the convicts put in as they were manufacturing the particular bricks. These are ultimately used from a branding perspective many, many years ago.
And what about these other brandings?
Different new brick suppliers, for example, will have a unique frog that they put into their actual brick stock. These frogs are ultimately a divot or an impression, which means when a bricklayer is laying a wall, it has an extra void for your mortar to fill and sit into place.
What's the other brandings that I can see over here on these bricks?
Yes, Anna, over the years the manufacturers have actually used these as memorial bricks. For example, this was created to celebrate the 1956 Olympics when they came to Melbourne, for example. We also have this very unique brick that we've come across over the years. So not only is it handmade, it's also been hand carved on the inside. So they're phenomenal. They're absolutely wonderful to be able to use in the walls.
So what happens to the rest of the brick that you don't use?
Once we take our two slices off our bricks, we're basically left with something that looks like this. This is either recycled back in and turned into, or crushed up I should say, and turned into road base, for example. Paving suppliers may use it, or alternatively, some people actually pave with this particular stock. So we can provide them the waste centre to be able to do some creative paving as well.
And is there any byproducts to your process?
One of the additional byproducts that we produce is a very fine clay, for example. This clay can be used to stop a leak in a dam situation.
So do you guys actually prepare the wall here and then take it to the site?
Ultimately what happens, all the brick cutting is done here at the factory. We ship all of our bricks out onto site directly. The rail is installed on site. The bricks are put into place on site and we mortar on site. So it's really a three-step process. If we tried to create the walls here, the transport logistics would be quite a nightmare.
So what are some of the different projects that you guys have actually worked on?
Our projects have been used all over Sydney, or I should say our bricks have been used all over Sydney and all over Australia and New Zealand wide. Over the years we've worked with clients like the Cronides group of restaurants, we've worked with Jeans West, we also work with Hype DC and many fashion retailer over the years. We've also used our products at the Star Casino, Crown Casino, many feature bars, restaurants, cafes. Everywhere I go, for example, I can tell the difference of our brick walls as opposed to the other brick walls. Any one of our Cronides jobs, for example, is a very crazy and a very creative project that we've done. The work that we've completed for the Cronides group of restaurants in Manly, for example, where you have feature archways with bricks hanging upside down on a wall, are absolutely amazing. And I'm very excited to be working on one of our latest projects that will come up in the next few months, which is this warehouse conversion that we're doing in Brisbane, which we will be featuring the true Sydney Sandstocks bricks. We're very excited about that one.
Irene, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much, Anna, for coming to see us, and I'm glad that we had the opportunity to explain to you what we do with our brick products.
Me too. And the Steel-backed Brick Company is reusing, recycling, keeping our environment alive, but also keeping it beautiful. So if you'd like some beautiful artisan walls for your next renovation or building, make sure you check out the Steel-backed Brick Company, available nationwide all around Australia, and of course 100% Australian owned and operated. The Steel-backed Brick Company.
1 second, I just wash my hands from this lime and mortar. Now, one thing I have to say about bricks and lime mortar is that a lot of the times you can buy those bricks secondhand, like places like Brick Pit, that they're in business for, I don't know, for many, many decades. They take those secondhand bricks, they clean the lime and mortar, as you can see now on your screens, and after that, those bricks, they find another life somewhere else. Now, look at this amazing place. It's called The Grounds. It's in Sydney, in Alexandria. It's a place you have to go and see. If you're in Sydney or if you're visiting Sydney, that's a place I strongly recommend. I mean, I love this place. The food is great, coffee is great, everything is great there, but the atmosphere is amazing. Everything is made out of secondhand and reused materials. Like, for example, they used 100,000 bricks bought from Brick Pit and Keith. So Keith is doing a good job. Good on you, mate. Now, let's go to our next subject. Our next subject is this. Now, could you believe that this place here is getting demolished? This is Australia, I told you. We're amazing here in Australia. Now, this kitchen here, actually, it's going to just go to the tip. Normally, kitchens like this go to the tip. Can you believe that? But because of us, it won't go to the tip. We make sure that we sell this out to someone or give it away even. It doesn't matter. But we can't throw this thing away. Look at it. What's wrong with this? Nothing wrong with it. Yeah. So we make sure that we reuse this one. Not recycle, reuse. There's a big difference in that. Our next story is about Made in Australia products. And we're going to talk to a guy called Stuart Payne, that he's the manager for Dick Smith Foods. Now, he has some great advice of what you should be aware when you're in the supermarket or wherever you are buying Australian products.
Hi, my name's Stuart Payne. I'm the General Manager of Dick Smith Foods, and I can proudly say we're as Australian as you can get. At Dick Smith Foods, we pride ourselves on being Australian made, but also Australian grown, which means using Australian ingredients from farmers, and also being Australian owned, which means that the profits get reinvested straight back into the country and reinvigorating our food belt. Now, one of the popular misconceptions we hear from customers is that the barcodes is one of the best ways to tell if a product is made in Australia or truly Australian. Unfortunately, it is a myth. So you can find many products that are made elsewhere, made in China, made in South America, that can bear a 93 prefix. Now, all that tells you is they've registered the product here, I'm sad to say. On the flip side, you can find an Australian-made product that in fact could have a Chinese barcode prefix. Now, unfortunately, what this is telling us is that consumers are really confused and looking for a clearer, concise way to find out what's an Australian product. Now, the only way you can do that, I'm sorry to say, customers, is to get really familiar with your labelling laws and really familiar with your packaging. So, one of the things that sort of bugs us a little bit is that the Australian-made symbol is the same for a product of Australia as it is for Australian-made. As an example, let's talk about tomato sauce. So, our Aussie sauce, proudly a product of Australia. We use Murray River tomatoes, it's manufactured here, and all of the profits go to Australian farmers, Australian retailers, Australian manufacturers, and to Australian charities, which is the way Dick Smith Foods operates. Now, when we're sitting on a shelf next to, let's say, Master Foods, who's the brand leader in tomato sauce, what you'll see is they're able to wear an Australian-made symbol. Now, they can do this even though they import a tomato paste from overseas and they import their bottles from overseas. Because a substantial transformation's taken place, turning that paste and the bottle into a finished tomato sauce product, they're allowed to claim that it's Australian made. Now, there's nothing against Australian made, it employs Australian jobs, that's great. However, it gets a direct comparison to our product, which is a product of Australia. Now, the difference is significant. So, all of our products are made here. The ownership is really important. Now, that means all of the money stays in Australia and gets funneled back into our food belt, into our manufacturing industry. Master Foods is owned by Mars. Now, Mars is actually owned by a private American family, which means all of the profits, after you've paid the retailers and paid the employees in Australia, goes back to the US to one family. Not even a public company where, like in Australian businesses, we all share the wealth. Or in Dick Smith Foods' case, we reinvest it back to Australian charities.
It's incredible, isn't it? A lot of things I didn't know myself. I didn't know that number 93, for example, which is an Australian number, it means that it's a product that is made in Spain. I saw it a lot of times on Facebook and other places, and I thought 93 is Australian made. There you go. And it has to be a product of Australia. Incredible. So thank you, Stuart, for letting us know all this information. And we're going to have Stuart in another episode to tell us a little bit more about Australian-made products.
G'day, Dick Smith here. On Australia Day, some people use jingoistic patriotism to flog their products. Struth, I never do that. That's as wrong as a dead dingo's donga. Australia's best-selling sauce, peanut butter and spread are no longer Aussie-owned and ship profits overseas. They're no more Australian than this Szechuan spotted dick.
There's only one dick I'll be eating on Australia Day.
Chow down on my Aussie nuts, shake my Aussie sauce, spread my Aussie mite, eat my yummy bush food cereals, spreads and beetroot. When you buy any Dick Smith food product, you support Aussie farmers on the land.
I love Dick.
And keep Aussie workers in jobs.
I love Dick.
And the taste is a beauty. Why else would thousands be trying to get here?
I love Mr. Dick's.
So don't be a drongo, a yobbo or a darrow. Be patriotic and buy Dick Smith foods this Australia Day and every day to give our kids a future.
All Dick Smith Foods profits go to charity.
Now this is the end of another show, but remember, if you want to go somewhere to taste the world, you go to Newtown. In Newtown you can find just about anything, from Italian, from Thai, from Greek, from Mexican, anything you wish. And for coffee, the best place to go. This is the problem with me. I always go to Newtown. I start with the pizza place, and then this place called Torino Pizza, and then I go to where? Of course I have to go to have my coffee. Espresso, yes, I love espresso. What can I do? I love espresso. And then gelato, gelatissimo. And now they said to me, you put too much weight. And I said, I don't put too much weight. Do I put too much weight? So I went to a specialist and I said, I want advice. I want to lose weight. And you know what she said to me? You have to be careful. You have to have a balanced diet. So I follow her advice. I come here to Girardico now, and I have my balanced diet. My balanced diet is €1 on its hand. Balanced diet. Cut. No. Can we leave that? Okay, we'll leave it. Okay, we'll continue. Now, remember, balanced diet, €1 on its hand. You get it? It's a joke. Oh, you got it. Oh, great. Of course. Now, remember that you can go to our website, thisisaustralia.tv, and what's the other one? I'm hungry, I can't think. Metro. Oh, this smells delicious. Look how big they are. MetroReusables.com.au if you want any second-hand building materials. Remember Metropolitan Demolitions if you want your second-hand building materials, and recycled timbers down at Warragamba. That's it. See you later. I'm gonna have my euros. Look at this. Balanced diet. See ya.